To create compelling art for apparel, it's essential to grasp some fundamentals. So we're going to look at the different elements of successful t-shirt design, like layout, composition, color selection. We're also going to look at the intricacies of proper file setup and the importance of ordering samples before selling, and how attention to detail can really elevate your art to prevent some unwelcome surprises. I would know. First, let's look at t-shirt layouts. So you want to emphasize clarity and simplicity in your designs. You want to ensure that they're easily recognizable, visually striking. And clarity and simplicity do lend themselves well to versatility. You know, these designs that aren't overly complex, when they're not overly busy, they can be applied to various clothing items without losing their essence or their visual impact. That kind of versatility will allow your art to reach a broader audience. It will be appreciated across different styles, different preferences, even if it's niche. And it will also allow viewers to absorb the essence of your design more easily and appreciate its aesthetic appeal. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been at a diner and you saw a merch shirt on their wall and you had to have it? Or you came across somebody and you could not help yourself. You had to ask where they got their shirt. What was it about that shirt that drew you in? Think about that. Some other factors to include in your design, there's balance. So striving for balance and harmony is essential when you're designing art for clothing, because it involves careful consideration of the placement, the sizing, the proportion of your artwork on the garment. And by achieving the right balance, you can create that harmonious composition that really enhances the overall aesthetic and appeal. And like, do you ever see a shirt that you love it, but you just wish the design was like bigger or maybe smaller? Or maybe that the words weren't right across the chest? Some of you know what I'm talking about. Color plays a vital role in designing art for clothing because, yes, you want to consider how it conveys the message or the aesthetic is supported effectively. You know, obviously, harmonizing colors with the garment creates that cohesive, visually pleasing composition. So you do want to consider how the colors of your design interact with, you know, the background color of the clothing. I would say when selecting colors, consider taking into account the target audience and their preferences when you choose. And also experiment with different color combinations. You might find one that stands out more and has a better desired impact. Also, huge, consider the fabric's color and texture because they can interact with your chosen colors. They can affect the perceived vibrancy and intensity. We'll dive into that more in just a minute, but something to consider. Now, I also want to specify this, and I don't know why, like, it seems like a duh, but unless I say it, it might not be, because you never know. Like, we're thinking about so much. So I'm going to say avoid the box. Break free from the confines of the literal box and use transparent PNG files. This file lets you remove the background and it makes your design float effortlessly on any surface, okay? Also avoid these common pitfalls. Avoid overcrowding your designs with excessive detail because while they may be lovely, they might not translate well when they're printed on clothing. Steer clear of low-resolution images because you don't want to result in a lack of sharpness or clarity in that final product. Be careful of intricate designs or fine lines. They might not reproduce well. Also, avoid relying solely on trends. Strive for designs that truly can A, stand the test of time, or B, stand out in a way that's super unique to you. You've got some ideas in there, and I know you do. You have this opportunity to turn this vision into a huge reality. So whether you choose print on demand or licensing or, you know, production of some kind, each path has unique advantages and considerations because your artwork could look incredible on dresses, on swimsuits, on hoodies, tank tops, socks. There's so many more. So think about how you can repurpose that and put it somewhere extra fun, something different. Okay, let's look at some absolute need-to-know technical specifications for creating artwork that translates to fabrics. Designing art for apparel requires attention to detail and an understanding of what works and what doesn't, and I'm not talking about only design choices. This is also a huge need to know for these tech specs. If your file is not set up properly, You could be left with a dingy print job. I have been there and done that. And I don't want that for you. And if you learn anything from this at all, let it be to always order samples before you sell something. You want to ensure that your design files are prepared in the appropriate file format and resolution for printing. So follow the guidelines for color modes according to manufacturer. So whether that's CMYK or RGB, just make sure that your file is set up according to where you're having it printed. The required specs, they vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So you always want to be sure to review tech specs and guidelines before submitting files. Another example, I designed a t-shirt and uploaded artwork without realizing that there's like a particular way to do it regarding color. I used black as the background and the very vibrant design printed with a very faded appearance. I had ordered samples before with the same type of shirt, but it was only white ink, so I had no idea that it would be an issue until I'd already begun selling them. But in my case, I had not worked in or converted my colors to CMYK when that's what this particular print-on-demand manufacturer used. The CMYK color space recognizes a smaller range of colors than RGB. So if your design has colors outside of the CMYK color space, then some of the printing software will do its sort of best to match those colors to the closest ones in that space. And if the RGB colors are so far off, like neons, well, yikes. Okay, now let's look at some blends because that also makes a difference. So first up, we have our buddy 100% cotton. This fabric is typically a tight weave. It is the go-to choice if you want your design to really pop with full opacity. Do keep in mind though that thicker cotton fabrics, they can be a little bit absorbent, and that might give your print a little bit more of a faded effect. So if you're aiming for super bright, vibrant colors, a thinner cotton fabric would be your best option. And then there's the poly and tri-blend fabrics. These have a looser weave. They're a good choice if you're going for that cool, faded, vintage vibe. I think of them as like a worn-in jeans fabric option kind of thing. Yeah. I'm a fan. But the looser weave allows that ink to blend with the fabric a little bit, and it gives your design a little extra character by being a little less crisp. So if you're channeling your inner retro enthusiast or aiming for that relaxed aesthetic, poly and tri-blend fabrics are your partner in crime. Oh, and here's a fun color fact for you. The same color can look different depending on the fabric color it's printed on. So don't be surprised if your super fiery red looks a little bit different on black fabric than compared to a white one. And this is especially important regarding design color choices. If you're using that CMYK digital printing, here's a pro tip. Neon colors. Neon colors in RGB might not give you the desired result. While we could be here all day, if I completely listed all of the fabrics and apparel file setups, the best rule is to remember to always check just the manufacturer's required setup for files along with any file guidance or templates or anything that they have, because they know the material and their printing process the best because they do it all day, every day. So seek that out first. And then remember, before selling your designed clothing items, always order samples because you want to evaluate the print quality, the color accuracy, the overall appearance. This is going to let you make necessary adjustments before a final production run. It prevents potential disappointments. Now, create a t-shirt design. I will see you so soon.